Good evening, everybody. We're preparing for the new year, and we endeavor to enter these days of judgment with the maximum of merit and the minimum of liability, because Rosh Hashanah itself, and with a grace period of another 9 days until Yom Kippur, this one day, which gives us a grace period of an additional 9 days afterwards, your whole year is encapsulated, in this time period. And the way these days are, is impacts your whole year. As I explained in my Kabbalah class this evening, it's sort of like pregnancy. Whatever happens during pregnancy will affect that child for its whole life. And the pregnancy of the new year is Rosh Hashanah, being the day of conception, and the next 9 days are parallel to the 9 months of the pregnancy, and the new year is born and fully formed with Yom Kippur. That's why it's called the seal. We can make modifications until Hoshana Rabbah, which we'll discuss another time. So we know that's why, right now, this is like the New Year's in embryonic phase from Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur. And when everything is embryonic, every little thing can make a permanent mark forever and ever. And that's why everyone knows we go into Rosh Hashanah. Everyone knows that we do Hataras Noraim. We annul our vows, because we don't want any unfulfilled vows to be a discredit to us at this critical time. So for those who are a little bit more attuned, we also do Heter Klolos. There's a special ritual we do with 10 Jews to take off curses. There's Heter Nidui, taking off any form of excommunication, because sometimes a person may have been excommunicated by heaven. That means that his prayers are not wanted there. There is such a concept, and so we also do a lachash against Ayin Harah. We take off the evil eye. We do what we can to have minimum liability and minimum handicap, because this is a very sensitive time. As Rosh Hashanah, in particular, is very, very significant. It's the conception of the new year, and the gestation of the new year is until Yom Kippur, and it's the very sensitive time where every small thing makes a world of a difference, much more than the rest of the year, because it is the embryonic phase, as we just explained. So what I want to discuss tonight, to make everyone aware of a service I'm willing to do for all my friends, just this once, and just because of the seriousness of the time, the critical hour that we're in. I want to discuss a little bit first to understand the idea of Ayin Harah. I guess everyone could understand the idea that a curse, has an influence, and no one should ever want to be cursed by anybody, and one should not even curse oneself. So now the power of curses, curses come from speech. The power of speech, if it could create the world, because God created the world through speech, it says, Vayoma Kimihi, God said let it be, God said let it be, and that's what came into existence. And it says that God, gave us this divine power of speech, and that's what we got directly as a result of having our heavenly soul. And that's what the Pasuk says, Nishmas Chaim, Nefesh Chaya. So Unclus says, after we got that breath of life, being a living creature, Unclus translates as being Ruach Memala, speaking spirit. That means our power of speech comes from our divine soul that came from, so to speak, in the words of the Bible, God's breath, whatever that means. So that means our power of speech is divine, and our power of speech has a similar power of God's power of speech. And if speech could create, you could be sure that speech could destroy. So I don't think that this is is an innovative idea to anyone. I don't think this idea is blowing anybody's mind, and that's simple. And I am willing to do heter klolos for anyone who reaches out to me and supports our Torah disseminating activities. I will on Erev Rosh Hashanah do heter klolos also. But I want to talk about something else, which is much more common and just as lethal. And people have heard of the idea and perhaps do not understand the idea. And I'd like to explain it so you should understand the gravity of it and how a person should avoid this year-round, but particularly not be subject to this, when his whole year is hanging in the balance. It's the gestation period of the whole upcoming year. And that is the idea of the Ayin Harah, right, the evil eye. The Gemara says in Bava Metzia that 99 out of 100 people die because of Ayin Harah. Most deaths are actually because of Ayin Harah, and I'm going to explain that in a second, because you may ask, what do you mean? The doctor will never diagnose a person as having died of Ayin Harah. So I'll explain that in just a moment. But aside from that, we have halachas in the Gemara, right, and in the Shulchan Aruch, that of Ayin Harah, particularly of we're not supposed to ever harm another human being, correct? So one of the halachas of that are anti-Ayin Harah measures is that we should not watch a person when he's bringing in his crops, if he's in or bringing in his merchandise. We shouldn't be watching as he's counting his money or bringing in his produce, lest we give him an evil eye. Right, and I'm going to explain what that means. And I'll explain it the way it was explained to me by my sainted teacher, Rav Moshe Shapiro, Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh Livracha, the way he explained it to us in Shir. But to get to his explanation, we have to preface some basic truths that that build up to an understanding of what Ayin Harah is, right? And that is that the eyes are the windows of the soul, right? Our eyes are our windows to the world. Now, we know that that's true because through our eyes we see the world. The world comes to our attention and comes to our consciousness, comes to our brains through our eyes. What we don't realize is that the eyes are a two-way street. And, what I am feeling, and my perception of reality and my attitude all comes out to the world through the eyes. There's an old saying, if looks can kill. And it goes on, obviously, when you got really a dirty look from someone that, you feel like looks can kill. And the truth is that looks can kill. That we all share space. We all live in the same world. And the space that we share, sometimes we could all make physical contact on that same area. So you understand that I could physically impact your property if, God forbid, someone would, let's say, drive a car into your car, right? Invade and trespass, and so you don't just impact the world around you, even what you don't own, with your body. You could impact the world around you, even what you don't own, with your mind, with your bad attitude. Now, you could sense that this is true, when a person with a bad attitude walks into a party. He ruins the party for everyone. If he doesn't actually say anything, he just sticks to himself and just gives that sour look. Everyone could feel it and ruins the atmosphere. And that's not psychological. That is real. And there could be like real lethal force in that negative energy, and it comes out through the eyes. You take a look and you could notice that the look that a person gives you, it's the happy look or even the intense look or the sad look, the whole face contorts in a certain facial expression. But you take a look that the main facial, expression is around the eyes and through the eyes. It really, it's something which I'm sure everyone's experienced, and you should know that experience is real. So now what I've seen in Svarim, even before I had the privilege of learning by my great Rebbe, Moshe Shapiro, is that I saw an idea in the Malbim and others that if a person has a really rotten soul, a really bad attitude, right, he's full of negative energy, that negative energy comes out through the eyes. And that's how Bilam also, wanted to hurt the Jewish people. He wanted to hurt them with Ayin Harah. That's why Balak says, I'll take up there and you'll see the nation from there and curse them from there. So he takes different places to view the nation. So he's viewing the whole nation, viewing part of the nation. And then, Bilam himself refers to himself as the Shesumayin, the man with the eye, sort of about his Ayin Harah. So the bitterness in a person, of course, the person who is bitter suffers the most from himself, but he shares his bitterness with the whole world through the eyes. And you have that, he's polluting the world. There's negative energy that, of course, has a polluting effect. So like when a person, makes pollution, let's say, he's setting off toxic waste, and let's say he dumps his toxic waste on his property, right? But what can you do? The fumes and the radiation spread beyond the property, and people get sick from it. So people, yes, they died from sickness, but what caused the sickness? The toxic waste that a person dumped, and that's what the Gemara means, right? That 99 out of 100 die because of Ayin Harah. So of course a doctor will have, said, no, he had this problem, he had that problem. Right, but question. But why did that problem develop in the first place? Why did he get sick that way? Why did he have that accident? Because there was all that negative energy upon him, and that negative energy impacted his health, and that negative energy impacted his finances, and that negative energy impacted, his daily affairs. So he had that accident. So what the Gemara says is in no way contradicting, scientific and medical knowledge. Because the Gemara never said that the doctor will see that he died from Ayin Harah. There's no such medical condition. It means that the Ayin Harah caused that medical condition. Something caused your health to deteriorate, God forbid. Something caused your finances to deteriorate. Something caused your luck to go sour. Right? And the people with Ayin Harah are just polluting the world with their negativity through the eyes. My Rebbe added a further explanation using quantum physics, using the Copenhagen theory, that that the measuring of something actually determines it. That in the quantum state things are undetermined and there's multiple possibilities, and the measuring of it actually, you're not really, the measurement is not to see what is. Actually, the measuring actually makes what it is. As the famous example, the metaphor of the Schrodinger's cat, that when the cat is in the box with the poison, it's neither dead nor alive. It's the actual opening the box to measure whether the cat is dead or alive that will determine whether the cat is dead or alive. And that's why Chazal tells us that if something's hidden from the eyes, it's safe, and it could have lots of blessing. And you could daven for anything until you've measured it. Once you've measured it, you've set it. Right? Once it's measured, it's set. Like, for instance, the Gemara says that, before you actually measure how much grain you have, as an example, you're allowed to daven, even though the grain is already in the silo, may there be a lot of blessing in this silo. But once you measure it, you can't pray that anymore. It's too late. You measured it, you gave it a number. You set what it is. So my Rebbe, Moshe Shapiro, used that idea to further explain Ayin Harah. Right, a person has multiple, and it's very critical now during these 9 days, 10 days rather, Rosh Hashanah plus the 9 days that come afterwards. Rosh Hashanah being like the conception, and the 9 days following like the gestation period that we explained. Right now during these days we have so many possibilities of how the year could look, and that's what we're fighting for with our Teffillos. That of the many possibilities, it should only be the good ones. Right. But this person with the Ayin Harah, he's, since he's measuring negatively, the measurement actually makes it. So he's measuring negatively, so for sure he's limiting and shutting down your good possibilities to whatever extent his reality overlaps with yours. He's shutting down and limiting your good possibilities, and he is, to whatever extent his reality overlaps with yours, he is trying to activate the bad possibilities. So of course, it's your possibilities. God only gives you what you deserve, but there could be a range, and there could be different scenarios that you deserve, different scenarios, and he's the one who's measuring it negatively, shutting down the good possibilities, and activating, the negative ones, even putting a worse spin on the negative ones. Right? So it's so Ayin Harah is something sadly that if we live in an era of negativity, if a person's surrounded by negative people, negative family members, negative neighbors, and now there is a lot of negativity in the world. What can I tell you? Right? It's dangerous, and I think everyone feels it. When they're surrounded by negative energy, they don't perform well, and nothing works out. And it's real. It's not in your mind. It's real. And during this sensitive time when the new year is in formation, we certainly don't want any of that around. So I want to tell everyone that in my studies, I know a lachash, right? I know a ritual from the Chida, and I know a ritual from Yudah Chassid, and I have material from other Sfarim that I'm willing to use to help all my friends, all those who will also grab the additional merit of helping support our disseminating Torah. I think everyone here knows that I have a very active website, evanshasiya.com, which has in it hundreds, and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of Torah lessons, on the calendar and the parasha and many other topics. And many of those things are also on ou.org, and all that costs money. So first of all, you do want to grab the merit of giving tzedakah. You want to grab the merit at this time of supporting Torah study and supporting the teaching of Torah and supporting the spreading of Torah in the world. And I also will do my part to do what I can for all those who help me, that I should help them back at this critical time. And we will. There will be a page on my site to make a donation, and there will be a box there to give in your name for prayers over the Yomim Noraim, and also to give in your name for the ritual of removing Ayin Harah that I will do for everyone on Erev Rosh Hashanah, which is the time that we do these things, the Heter Nedarim, and for those who are aware, the Heter Klolos, the Heter Nidui. I will also do the Lachash against Ayin Harah. I will help everyone that I can, and I hope you will help me, and that will be a further merit for you to have a wonderful year if you give tzedakah and you support the dissemination of Torah. So I will, in addition to those merits, add the merit of, or at least neutralize the liability if in the event you have any curse or any Ayin Harah on you. I will use these lechashim that I've been privileged to study. I will use them, and I will invoke them, and I will help you, right, and pray for you and remove Ayin Harah for you, right, on Erev Rosh Hashanah. We should all have a ksiv chasima tova, a good gebench yor, right, and we should only know bracha, and of course, moving forward, I will take off your Ayin Harah if you're interested, but moving forward, we should be, since we now have educated you about the lethal forces in Ayin Harah, please don't give an Ayin Harah to anyone else. Always look favorably. Don't try to count how much money someone has. Don't count, because there's no way to do that favorably. So don't count. Don't ever poke your eyes. I say nose, but it's not nose, it's eyes. Don't ever poke your eyes at anyone else's business. Try to avoid it. And when you're forced to actually see someone else, succeed at something or do something, only look favorably. And if you are always looking favorably on others, Mida Kneged Mida, God will always look favorably on you. And that's what the Pasuk says. It's a Pasuk. Tov Ayin Yavorach. One who has a good eye and only sees things favorably, and avoid the test and just don't look at other people's business, right? Just in case, right? To keep safe. But if you have ever occasion to have to, and you got to just look at it favorably. If you are so blessed in your outlook, which is affecting the world positively, and infusing the world with positive energy, God responds and gives you blessing also. Really, Ksiva Chasim Tava, good Kabench Yor, and visit my site, evanshasiya.com. Make a donation and submit the names for prayers and for the removal of Ayin Harah.